Fuck Donald Trump and any crackers out of Maja. How you gonna?
Yes, your boy Crypto Blood. Welcome to another episode off the chain, episode 39. We're gonna get started here in a second, people. Shout out to Hooli Gang. This new joint, it's actually not new. I'm switching it up. I was playing Stacking the Coin. We're gonna play some other stuff from very talented guys out of New York. Holla.
Need my dick mobbed up, my Hooli click mobbed up. These other niggas washed up. I'll slide on the op like I'm about to do the cha-cha. Knock, knock at your front door with the chopper. Run up in your casa, sorta like a squatter. Studio to kitchen, Hooli cooking Betty Crocker. Hit him with the spice mix of sushi with sriracha.
Make sure you guys like and share and subscribe.
Boy, quick to turn the shit to Mo Bamba. We're the Obama, Eric Gardner, Dalai Lamba. Go harder than your whole roster. Fly shit, I kick, call it phone passes. I bust a bitch tail like I'm opening a lobster. Tryna get my wrist drip like an old faucet. Had to flip a lot of crypto out them.
Tonight we'll be talking about, of course, a little Bitcoin. Gotta sprinkle that in there. Also talk about this treasury dump of, man, we got foreign countries and entities. They've dumped the most they've ever dumped of treasuries of our debt in March ever. So we got to talk about that. There's something going on there, people. Also, Texas COVID cases rising as they open. Is that the right move? I don't know. And of course, more helicopter money coming from, well, trying to come from Washington. The Democrats, boy, they're at it again, trying to get every penny they can and not look out for America. Tim G, what's good, baby? This week is probably not gonna be as climactic as last week. Man, last week was crazy. Make sure you guys go check out episode 38 if you missed it.
I got big plans, big dreams, need 50 grand just to blow steam. Word is so lean, Carter, my flow being hotter, done data out of Harlem, ballin' like a
do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Like Pun said, you ain't even in me class.
Fucking thing sucks! We'll do it live.
What's going on, people? We're getting started a little bit early tonight. George, what's going on, brother? Thanks for joining the Tech Geek in the house. I see all my YouTube fans out there, all my YouTube premium members. If you guys want to join, you should definitely join the YouTube membership, man. We have a great conversation every day, all day in the chat room on Telegram. So if you join, you want to join the acquaintance level to get access to the Telegram room. Epic room for sure. So thank you for everyone who is a part of that. Tonight, ladies and gents, we have my guy from the same city, Detroit 313 stand up. We got Mike from Rethinking the Dollar in with us tonight. Mike, how are you, brother?
I'm doing good, my man. Appreciate you for having me on again and looking forward to hanging out with you on a Saturday evening. So
yeah,
welcome. Thanks for having me back, man.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, man. And guys, all my YouTube members saw I put out earlier today. I was just talking to Mike about an epic appearance I had on his show earlier this week. Had a good conversation, man, with you and your fans, your followers, and we debated about COVID and, you know, what's the right approach to take. And it was a great conversation, bro. And so, you know, if you guys didn't see it, you'll definitely see it tomorrow publicly, but it's out there for the YouTube members, man. I had a great time, man. I'm into debates and hearing everyone's view, man. It's all good, people.
Yeah, it is, man. One of the biggest things is just giving people a chance to share their opinions. At this point, it's not about being right or wrong. It's more so like the direction we're all being forced towards, you know. So I'm always open to hear people's perspective. But yet some of the viewers that night was very opinionated and very as if they were angry for some reason, as if like you're the cause or you're the reason why, as opposed to no, it's them. It's we the people versus them. In a
the
sense,
one person was like, how you gonna sit up here and say the virus is real and you ain't even taking the vaccine? I'm like, bro, they're not mutually exclusive. You can like think the virus is real and not take the vaccine. Exactly. It was good, man. It was good. So we're gonna people, you gotta check that one out too. But tonight, we're going to be talking about a few things we got on the list. We've got J.K. Rowling. I don't know if you guys saw her. she was a little tipsy over, I don't know what day that happened, but she was on Twitter over the weekend, I think yesterday, was roasting Bitcoin. We're going to talk about that. We got a record number or record amount of treasuries being dumped. What is this telling us? We got to talk about that, Mike. I know you stay on top of that stuff.
Definitely.
COVID cases are starting to rise in Texas as they start to open. Are they taking the right approach? We'll talk about that. And also more helicopter money from Washington. Do we just is money the right way to fix this? Just papering over this situation?
Not at all, man. But it's one of those things where they're going to do the best they can to appear as if they care and as if they can actually do something to not even solve. Like, they're not talking about solving. They're just talking about trying to get us through this until whatever that next norm or whatever it might be. And then also, I think we need to be very careful using the word money, because it's not money, it's currency, and they can create as much of that as they want. Therein lies the problem. So, helicopter currency.
So I want you guys to check out Rethinking the Dollar, Mike over there. He's been doing this thing for a while now. He's had some epic guys on there. You have some really big people come on the channel, man, and drop knowledge, and that's what you're trying to do. Wake people up. Like you said, you got to understand the difference between money and currency and all that good stuff. So definitely check out Mike's channel on YouTube. He's doing great things, great content over there. Anywhere else, Mike, they can find you?
For the most part, I mean, YouTube is the bread and butter of everything, where that's where everything started at originally. From there, branched out to where now, because of the censorship and the dialing back of the algorithms with YouTube, I'm everywhere else you can find me. So, you BitChute, Float app, Mind, you name, you type in Rethinking a Dollar, you'll find me somewhere, anywhere at this point.
Are you on your library though?
I'm on there too.
Okay.
I'm on there, but it's one of them things where I don't post daily, and I haven't connected my account or whatever yet, just because I've heard people mention you might want to be careful with that, because YouTube realize that you're using other programs as a backup. They might hold that against you one day. So I'm kind of skeptical on connecting every single thing to
I didn't even think about that, actually. Interesting. Didn't think about that. So check Mike out, guys. And Mike, where you want to start tonight, man?
Let's just tip off with the Treasuries, man. Let's go ahead and talk about that, because I think it's alarm. I mean, I guess, well, depending on how you look at it, if you're in an alternative media world, you shouldn't be surprised. But I think how Zero Hedge has it here, where they're talking about just the large amount that was just dumped. But then if you look at that same article, I think if you scroll down toward the bottom, you'll see that it's been an ongoing trend for several years. So it's not of surprise. It's more so just the fact that the title said this past, month or two is the reason why. But if you look back, I think the 2015-ish, it was when it began. And at that time, they were all getting rid of or rethinking the dollar or rethinking the Federal Reserve system and getting into something else. And of course, at the very bottom of that, it talks about what they were getting into,
gold,
amongst other things.
I saw that. Mike's gonna love that chart right there, boy. So if you guys look at, I'll drop a link to this article in the chat room right now. But if you look at that link at the bottom, that chart, you'll see that gold reserves, global gold reserves, are up as they're dumping the Treasury reserves. Yeah. Now, Mike, man, I know you're a gold PM guy. I'm not as much. I think you should have some. But do you think that's like going to make gold go crazy? Like, we're so in the crypto game, we're so used to gains of 30% in a year, 100% in the year. It's a gift and curse, right? Yeah. Because you can see a drop of 50%. But what do you think this means for gold in, I guess, the next 12 months?
Well, my personal opinion is that it is a big deal for precious metals in general, but yet it's only here in the United States of America where it would be a big deal. But in every other country, pretty much every other country, gold is already at all-time highs or surpassed their previous all-time highs. So in people in other currencies, it is already a major deal. It's just so here it doesn't reflect on the spot price, in the United States of America, but yet it is a big deal. And so it's one of those things where I'm not as surprised because of what's going on right now. Like right now, as a part of the Treasury dumping is the fact that they're looking for liquidity. So we all know the system officially probably sprung a heck of a leak back in September with the whole repo stuff. And since then, it's all about providing liquidity. So I've been talking about all, I think it's 8 or 9 different, lending windows. And they're using the word lending as if they're going to be lending it out and able to, bring it back home where it originated at. And we witnessed that quantitative tightening. It's not going to work. So I believe this is the last flooding that they can do before something else is needed. So it is a big deal, but just unfortunately here in the U.S., we're been distracted still, I think.
Look at this chart, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, the line just goes, what is going on? If this isn't a sign that something internally is breaking, and I personally think, Mike, that, the Treasury has become the lender of last resort, the buyer of last resort, you know? If you look at the article, guys, you will see that it was offset. Purchasing was offset by, I think, 61.5 billion by agencies, 3.1 billion by in corporate bonds, and 6.8 billion in stocks. So I don't know if this is all coming from buying from the Federal Reserve or Treasury, or if this is from like foreign entities. I couldn't figure that part out. Yeah. But what's interesting is that Japan still has the largest stockpile of treasuries outside of the U.S.
Yeah. And that's going to remain that way for a while.
Yeah, it's been that way. What do you like? Do you think that's going to continue to be that way, or what do you see with that situation in Japan?
Well, to my knowledge, I believe that Japan is lock and step with everything the U.S. Does because of how. There's a movie out there called, what is it, Prince of the Yen, I believe it is, by Richard Weiner, if I'm not mistaken, an economist or whatnot, who did a great documentary on basically since the issues we had with bombing Hiroshima years and years ago, Japan has been on the payroll in a sense, to where they've been orchestrated to handle their affairs in accordance to the way U.S. wants it done. And so I'm not surprised that Japan is the largest holder, but yet I guess the most important issue with that is the fact China has been slowly but surely dialing back or, dumping their treasury holders throughout the last several years.
Now they're number 2, right?
Say that again?
They're number 2 in holding debt,
according
right?
to the information shared here, they're number 2, yes, but yet it's incrementally been dropping down, and I believe it has a lot to do with their plans for providing funding for their external programs, such as Belt and Road and the African development and all those programs like that. So they've been basically cashing those treasuries in and providing opportunities to invest in foreign infrastructure or whatnot, which is, I believe, is a part of that next world order game plan that they may have in mind for themselves. So, but Japan is going to probably buy more, surprisingly, and so Japan central bank is buying everything they can. And at that point, it's like, okay, what's off limits to them? Obviously, nothing.
And we see in this article, ladies and gents, you take a look toward the bottom, you'll see Saudi Arabia actually dumped a record 25.3 billion in U.S. Treasuries, and it even kind of noted that it was most likely because of the whole liquidity squeeze they were having with oil, right?
Yeah. And on top of that, let me see. I think I read an article somewhere saying that Saudi Arabia, over the last couple of months, I think they've cut back on some of their social programs where they give allowance and stipends to the citizens for certain things, and they've even had to dial back on that. So because the oil issue is causing them to run short on cash in general, so they're cutting back all their programs. And then a lot of people in alternative media mentioned that once Saudi Arabia is desperate enough to where they open up their oil sales openly for other currencies, then that's when the whole petrodollar eventually is no longer solely restricted to the the dollar, and then that could be game over for the the petrodollar system officially if Saudi Arabia continues to get in such a pinch because of the low prices in oil. So,
but I hear people say that all the time about the petrodollar ending and dying and all of this.
Yeah.
Well, who's going to replace it? No other currency is in a better position than we are. It's like we're the cleanest shirt in the basket of dirty laundry. Like, who would in that scenario, Mike? Who would replace the dollar? I don't see it. Euro is a mess.
And I think that's the 10-year agenda, 5 to 10 year agenda And so based upon what we're experiencing now, my guess, my opinion would be the powers that be that orchestrates all of this as it's unwinding, they have an idea as to what they would like to do. Now it's a matter of allowing things to play out the way that they want them to, so that it'll be easier to usher in that next suggestion of whatever it might be. And so it's just a matter of if everybody will play ball or not. Like, will China and Russia continue to play ball with the U.S. in whatever that next system is? And that's where I'm torn between Russia and China pulling away and doing their own thing, or the U.S. by the IMF, SDR type of stuff, trying to reel them back in. And so there's many options, but I think the underpinning of everything, based upon all the information, is that gold is being utilized as a hedge, even against nations' own national currency. So everybody's getting heavier over the last decade plus, which lets me know that, as a safe haven, at least they're going to make sure that they're insured with some weight in the vaults. Now, whatever they roll out domestically to the people, I would imagine, as we talked about before, the digital yuan, digital dollar, digital whatever will be what we will have to use so that they can track and trace us. But on an international stage, it's going to be something backed or redeemable by actual physical, tangible commodities, more likely.
You think 100% or like a mixture?
Oh, it's going to be a mixture, because I don't think anybody would be willing to put up 100%, like flat out 100%, to lock themselves into 100%.
That's what exactly.
It's restricted.
That's what I was trying to get to, because I don't see any country. I hear these theories that, I don't know if Jim Rickers says this, but I've heard many people out there talk about how they're going to back their currency with gold, and gold is going to be a gold standard again. Why in anyone's right mind would they lock into a gold standard and restrict themselves? Right. That's putting themselves on restriction.
Right.
You wouldn't self-inflict that, would you?
And I would not. And it's going backwards. And so I don't think any of the powers of central banks, governments, whatever, want to go back to where they reintroduce the concept of gold as something that can be a alternative to national currencies. And so I think just a part of evolution where we're heading, everything is going to go digital. And it's just a matter of how will governments do business amongst themselves. That's when I think they're going to have to establish some trust. And I think trust comes from being able to actually either hold something outright, whether it's physical or like in the cryptocurrency sector, holding your keys. Like, you don't hold it, you don't own it. And I think most nations will probably want to hold something or have access to something, just in case somebody decides to try to pull an okie doke on them once again with the Nixon window being temporarily suspended. It's 50 some years later, it's still temporarily suspended.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw Mike Maloney's one of his videos from this past week, and he put a website up. I forgot the website, but it was basically a website that tracks all data from 1971. Did you see that video?
I did not. Nope, I did not.
And it just shows like how everything just balloons out of control from 71 once we went off the gold standard. And I mean, that standard of living went down. Everything started to really decouple at that very point, man.
Yeah. And not by coincidence. So like
by coincidence.
Even today earlier, I have a little live talk with some of the guys, and we're talking about the agenda. Like, to me, it's only probably not common sense yet, but I think as we look back in the history books, it'll be apparent at the trend of continuous exponential debt through creation of all types of windows and lending facilities, as well as the U.S. being a consumer-based nation in and of itself. It was all designed to, further indebt humanity with the lure of being comfortable and having the latest and greatest bells and whistles, and everybody living high on the hog for a certain point. But then again, it's not sustainable. And the fact we're approaching negative rates now, and we saw the downward trend of just the cost of borrowing continuing to go down. And negative, you would think, is the end game, but there's people that say that we can go negative -1, -2. Like there's no limit to how low it can go before.
If people really study this thing and how the whole global economical structure is set up, we can go negative. That's not the end game.
Yeah,
I'm on that side of the team. And the rationale, the thinking that negative does not mean the end game.
Right.
It does not mean the end game, guys. Like, I think we're in full modern monetary theory now.
Yeah.
I want to rename it. It's MMP. It's modern monetary practice. It's not theory anymore.
Yeah.
We're actually doing it. We're actually
modern
doing
monetary
it, bro.
experiment. I mean, this is the greatest
exactly.
experiment in human history, and we're a part of it, man. And that's the, if you're aware, then it can be exciting because we're doing the best we can to brace for impact, whatever that means. But then if you're, like caught in the deer in the headlights to have no clue as to what's coming, it's going to be disastrous because your entire life's work will be wiped away in whatever national currency if that's all you are depending on, or future promises. Like think about the concept of retirement. Based upon the way it's been presented to this point, it's always been about going and parking your funds in some financial vehicles that's controlled and owned by entities. Now we're moving away from that to where we're in a day and age where people are being encouraged to take ownership in their own things, whether it be by metal weights or in certain like blockchain projects, which allow you to hold your funds, but yet put it here and you can still have access to it at any point. So think about the whole concept of retirement is going to change along with this. You know what I'm saying? Like people are not going to be able to just give your money to a stranger and say, hey, go grow it for me. And then I'll come back in 20, 30 years with compound interest and live happily ever after for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I mean, I see it happening in the crypto space. Like, I'm taking advantage of it. Mm-hmm. This whole DeFi thing. I do my DeFi over at crypto.com. I'm staking coins, earning interest. You couldn't even earn in a CD 5 years ago. So I see the shift as far as people smartening up, moving their money outside of the quote unquote traditional system. But I'm a little concerned as to how long that gravy train is going to last. Me being able to stake, like I'm over at crypto.com. I got it on the screen, guys. You can stake even if you don't have more than 50 tokens, which is only like $250 MCO tokens. With 500 or more, I mean, you get crazy numbers, man. 8%, 12%, and 18% per annum on certain tokens. And the stable coins, if you want to take less risk, it's still 12% at 3 months staking it. So you can make good money holding your money outside of the system, quote unquote, So do you see people going that direction, or you think people are going to start buying gold? I'm not in the camp of thinking that people are going to go buy gold and just sit on it, because it's not. I think I said this on your show. Gold is not a productive asset. It's a good hedge to have, but you can't make money off gold holding it.
Yeah. And so everybody's approach and philosophy is unique in and of itself, according to what's best for you. But for me personally, and in my thought process, gold is not meant to produce anything.
Right.
It's just meant to be something that you can count on, that once you get done working, you buy it, it sits there, it can get old, you can bury it in the sand if need be, or sink it to the bottom of the ocean and come back 100 years from now, it'll still be there. But then whatever it's priced in, when you need it the most, that's what you're more so counting on. Because as of right now, based upon all the activity that's happening now, I don't care what goes on, the price, the nominal price, whenever you go to try to get rid of it or barter or exchange it, it's going to get you a lot more than it will today, just as a result of all the craziness that's happening. And so it's one of those things where when you get it, put it away, don't think about it, because it's just there. It's not meant to do anything other than just to reassure you that you have something that can be of value to somebody else down the line. Now, everything else, like all the technology you mentioned, that's where there's opportunity. Like, it's risk, because
it's risk,
you put it into those people's hands and it's on your phone, all stuff like that. But then again, at some point, the government, once they are done rolling out what they want to roll out, then it's going to be
they may shut those programs down, right?
Because it's competition. Like, the goal is to consolidate complete power. And so we're still waiting on an official announcement of whatever this next dollar payment method would be, that will be done apparently, either with the Treasury's permission through the IRS. And that's going to be a part of this next round out of whatever they're going to roll out. And I doubt they wouldn't want any competition or any confusion amongst the population as to different things labeled stable. Like, they want the only thing to be labeled stable is what they issue and control through the banking structure. So all the USDT, DDT, all them stable coins, I don't know if the government's going to be okay with them having, something to confuse the public. So I think at that point, if they make some laws or something saying whatever they want to say, and then CB, I'm sure you're aware of this. What was it? This week I heard about Telegram and the ton
network.
They were coming out with the gram, and a court said that you can no longer move forward with that either in this country or period.
Yep.
So think about that type of legislation there.
How does the SEC have that much influence where they can shut? Telegram didn't even allow U.S. citizens to participate, bro.
Right,
and they still shut them down.
So here's the thing. So why? So my question would then be, why was Telegram so cooperative in saying, okay, we're going to end the project? Like, why wouldn't they just put out the regular spiel saying that U.S. citizens are not allowed to participate? We can only or accredited whatever in such.
I'm gonna tell you why, man. Because, like I said, the United States is pervasive and have control everywhere. So these guys, I don't know if you know about these two guys.
I don't follow them in depth, but go ahead, give me.
Okay, so they created this the biggest social media like Russian version of Facebook. It's called VK. Over there is the biggest social media network. So I think they sold that and had a few $100 million from that, got into crypto, made some more money. Then they created Telegram. And so Russia wanted them to hand over the encryption keys, the master encryption keys to their platform. Yeah. They refused to do that. So they fled and went to some island. So they're in some island right now running Telegram.
Yeah, really.
But I think SEC is like, look, we can freeze all your accounts. You won't have any money. Yeah. That's what I personally think happened. I don't know. It's just my speculation.
That makes sense because I think about was it 2 years ago? I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago. All the fuss over what was that? Over Tether. And so Tether being the first stable coin and everything they cornered the market. I think they probably still do corner the market.
They still corner the market.
Yeah. So I remember at that point, the SEC and all the investigation, where's the accounts and Panama Papers and all types of stuff was coming out. And then all of a sudden it's quiet now. And they're Tether, they're further expanding into other things now. So something along the way happened to where as long as you can be transparent with them, I think they'll let you play ball. But if you're deciding to, thwart what they're trying to do or keep a little something on the side, on the hush for yourself.
It's always a court out of New York too. That's the interesting part that goes after. Like, it's always a court in New York, and judge this, and this in New York states that.
Now, I said that's not. I mean, it's interesting how New York. You mentioned New York, but then also we got the leading central bank or the branch of the central bank, the New York Federal Reserve.
Yep.
Which. In and of it, have 12 branches, having 12 branches for one entity. I guess 100 years ago, it dispersed the power, apparently, according to how they brought it to the public. But now we look at it 100 years later, we see that everything takes place out of New York. Wall Street, everything is circled around New York Federal
headquarters,
Bank.
Baby.
So not surprised at all, as you mentioned.
Yeah, not surprised at all. So I do want to highlight one thing. I saw that Lee in the chat rooms said he made a good comment about how let me see if I can scroll it up for you guys to see it. Let me see. So he says asteroid mining will F up all the precious metals costs soon. Gonna be a terrible hedge. What do you think about that? Because I did see they now there's this article out saying that there's gonna be a lunar gold rush, and what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, it's I personally I hear that as well, and it's one of those things where in the meantime I'll continue to do what I think is right as far as sticking with what's historical in nature. And here's the thing. So for those watching, don't get it mistaken. I'm not anti-crypto. No,
he's not.
You've
had some good. I watched your video that one time you did on. You went through a couple videos you did on Bitcoin.
Confessions of a crypto skeptic or something. It's just some thoughts I had, man, of questions I wanted to throw out there.
But they were good questions. I'm
open to having those type of talks just because I think if you're going to put your confidence, put it like this. If you're going to go become an evangelist or a preacher for something, make sure that you also open yourself up to all types of conspiracies and all types of questions, and so that you can reassure that you are confident in what you're either betting on or depending on or hoping it plays out. And so with gold and silver, I don't necessarily have to be all that. I don't encourage people to go. I just say just look at how history has played out. Use that as a reference point. Don't bank yourself upon it, but then also be open to other things. So I think they both go hand in hand, and I'm excited for the outcome of both of them. but I'm concerned about this country we live in. Like, if everyone becomes rich all of a sudden, but you can't go nowhere or you got to be tracked and monitored, I mean, how free are you to really enjoy the fruits of those gains there? So I think we're going to be focusing more so on our lack of freedom pretty soon, as opposed to the markets eventually. But when it comes to the lunar aspect, until I see central banks like obviously dump and get rid of gold out of concern or something like that, I'm not going to be paying no mind. As long as they're getting their weight up as well, it won't hurt me much to do the same, because I'm not like 100% like dependent on gold or silver to go parabolic. I know they're going to go up just because the paper is going to go down. So, I don't really concern myself with that.
Here's my question too, and I don't know if I consider. I mean, you can tell me whether you consider yourself like a gold bug or not. It seems like you're more moderate in your opinion about everything. I don't see you being like an extremist like that. The content I've watched of yours, at least I don't. I know you encourage your audience to definitely get you some silver and gold, but do you think that whole? Not do you think? I don't think you do, but I just pose a question like, is the whole gold thing, silver thing kind of a thing of the past? When I say that, not meaning it's useless. I'm not saying that, but I had my guy Gold, Small Gold on, and he made a great point. He was like, gold is like the horse and buggy we used to have back in the 1800s or whatever, right? Yeah. That was it. Like, you use that, and that was the only thing you could use. That was the utility of transportation was a horse. Yeah. Today, fast forward, we got Teslas, we got Lambos, whatever, right? We got all these types of modes of transportation. Is a horse still valuable? Absolutely. It still has value, but it's not used in the same way as it was back in the 1800s. Yeah. Like, what do you say to that?
I would say, Lewis did a great job with that analogy, and I would say that gold, silver, primarily, even copper, and like just so it goes well beyond that. Like, I don't think it has a time limit or a time constraint to it, or an era, to where you can actually use it or not, because they're natural developments in our Earth. Like, so they're going to be here as long as humanity will be here. And therefore, it takes energy and effort to extract those things, because we do need them for something. So it's not like, they're archaic or relics to where they're just no longer needed. We just put them in museums and let it sit there. No, there are natural elements in the earth amongst the other. So I tell people the best way to look at what's of true value, as far as it means something that will it was here before you. It is going to be here. It's going to be here after you. Just look at the periodic table. And so everything that we use around us comes from the earth. So there's going to always be something for it to be, useful for, outside of the monetary practices, like gold jewelry, gold, whatever. It's even silver now. I'm excited to hear about all the technology of what people are saying is possible with, breaking down the isotopes of silver to create this type of external energy. I'm like, whoa, like, that's exciting to hear about, but you need silver to do that. So, whether it's coming from the moon, or lunar, or meteorite, or whatever, it's still something that humanity needs, whereas in it's going to be there. Whereas in what we're being introduced to now is just a part of evolution of the, of things changing but evolving, which is good. Now it's a matter of like, will the powers that be still manipulate and find a way to control it to where I've always questioned whether or not just an introduction of Bitcoin and Satoshi Nakamoto happen to be a timely position to lure us into what they want in the first place. And so now we'll see what the outcome of a decentralized, centralized cryptocurrencies will look like 10, 20 years from now. But I would imagine like this period of transition is where it's uncertainty in all of this. But I'm not doubting or questioning gold or silver, because it's been here before me and it's going to be here well after me, in my opinion.
Gotcha. Yeah, I hear you, man. I just like to ask those types of questions from people who are really, into the whole precious metal thing, and get your feedback on that. But I guess, man, we'll see what happens. I'm personally, I'm more of, because I'm a millennial. You're a millennial, I think too, but I'm a techie guy. So I'm like, I'm into the tech stuff, man. I'm not trying to walk around with clinks in my pants and stuff.
Now watch this. What's wrong with having 1 ounce of silver and one Litecoin?
There's nothing wrong with that. I got
Or
silver.
1 ounce of silver.
I got a whole bunch of ounces of silver.
So there should be an allotment for a even proportion of whatever you like. And if you happen to be more excited about the technical side, then hey, there's all types of projects out there that will be disruptive. Therefore, there's opportunity to make gains in whatever currency you try to get out into. But I think it's going to boil down to whatever takes over is what do we price it in next? Like, how do we value it? So what will be the next standard of value? Like right now we say, everything's priced in dollars, but I don't think Federal Reserve notes will be the measuring stick that the globe uses, 10 years from now. So we're going to be talking about at that point, how many Bitcoin can you use to get, or how many Satoshis would it take to get a car? Or so that whatever that next pricing mechanism is, I think is what's going to be exciting. And if you got a little of that, then you should be good to go. Then we're gonna talk about taxes, like how do what's the tax side gonna be on those things,
right?
If it goes to the moon.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. I did a video back in December of 2018 about this Chinese scientist turning copper into gold.
Yeah,
and it was an interesting article that talked about that, and it just made me think, like, man, like at some point will technology trump the natural aspect of these elements and being able to create them out of thin air and stuff. We're doing that with viruses. We're creating them in labs. We're synthetically creating. I hear we're synthetically creating life now.
Oh, that's old, man. That's
well,
old.
I'm saying not life as in, I'm talking about like viruses or bacteria or something.
I would
synthetically. Yeah, so I'm just like, man, how far is too far? Like, how far are we gonna go with this thing, man?
I mean, be honest with you, man. I'm gonna tell you my true opinion. This comes from a spiritual base. Like,
okay, yeah.
There's no limit to what man will try to do to be God.
To be God.
So, what's the limit? Until you are so-called almighty, all-knowing, omnipresent, you're gonna keep trying, and that's where we're heading. And that's but that's to be expected. Like, like from a biblical standpoint, that's a part of the game. Like, that's the agenda. So, I think we should expect that.
Yeah, I think we'll eventually destroy ourselves in the process of trying to become God.
Yeah,
I really do. I think that's the
sad
path
part.
we're going.
Greed.
But so let's talk about where do you want to go from here, man? I mean, that was a good conversation about the gold and treasuries and stuff. We got this money printing machine just continually going, man.
Yeah, so we want to talk on that. What is it
House.
called? Let me see. I was trying to think about. So think about this. The name of all these bills happen to be very.
You gotta love them.
The CARES Act. We got the Patriot
Heroes
Act.
Act.
We got whatever. So
Just
now we
take
got the
reverse.
Heroes Act.
Yeah. That means the Villain Act, ladies and gentlemen. Just take the opposite, whatever they say. The Patriot Act. Remember the Patriot Act? No, that's not a.
Oh my goodness!
It's the opposite. It's so crazy, man.
So yeah, man. With this, 3 trillion. I mean, like I always say before, there's no amount of currency that they'll be willing to create to, try to paint a picture that they care and that they're trying to work in our best interests. But it's always the fine print that we're never told about that makes the biggest difference. And so, 1,800 pages, man.
1,800 pages.
It's
no
way. It's no way you can know the details of what's in there, other than the fact, as I always say, there's a filing cabinet that's been created by the banking sector, pharmaceutical sector, the war sector. I mean, all of the the war. What's it called? Boeing, Lockheed Martin, all the war companies or whatever, and they just shelf 1, shelf 2, shelf 3. They open it up per situation and say, let's go get that particular file there, bring it to me. Here you go. Let's call it, what's the current pandemic? Okay, Heroes. Okay, here's the Heroes Act, 1,800 pages, and then they vote on it. Nobody reads it, but yet they expect us to
Wait, isn't Nancy Pelosi the same one that said you gotta pass a bill before you see what's in it?
Yeah.
Wasn't that her? Yeah, I thought so.
That is it. So man, yeah. So the fine print from in that act, we haven't seen it yet, but they all voted on it and it passed.
Well, did it pass in
the House?
The Senate, though? It didn't pass in the Senate, though.
No, so it hasn't gone there yet. And from what I'm gathering, Republicans are not going to have it.
They're not going to have it.
They're calling it out, saying it's loaded full of, of the Democratic wish lists and all kinds of things they're putting out there. But what's going to happen like always, there's a compromise.
Yep.
And
People
so they're
gonna
going
get paid
to
off on the right side and do a little compromise, and then it's gonna get pushed through.
Exactly.
Still,
They're gonna take something out, put something in.
Yeah.
So 1,800 pages. So they might
2 pages for us.
They're gonna take out 10 pages, put in 10 for the Senate, put another 10, and so all of them getting it's all meant to just buy out and pay for all types of things that
lobbyists and
oh my goodness. So when I saw this, I'm like, oh, it didn't pass here. They're gonna rework it. It's gonna be out by the end of this by the middle of June. They're gonna have to come out with something as a way of showing that they want to keep the American worker and it's about extending. It's about extending unemployment to the January 21st to the January 2021 with that additional 600 per whatever, and small business loans extending that. So they're selling it with that while also hiding whatever else is in there, and it has to do with the contact tracing. $100 billion I'm sure is in there, and whatever else funding to further steal from American people, man.
But I'm starting to not be mad anymore. I'm starting to be more mad at the U.S. citizens, us.
Yeah,
we're not stopping this nonsense.
Yeah, majority of people have no clue what's going on, man. Like, and that's the main cover up of the mainstream media, the fact that they only tell the public what's the obvious. And so right now, economy's closed and people are losing jobs, business are going out of, so they see that and they're using that as their scapegoat to pass all these things to where nobody bothers to question, what's the worst case scenario for this not being questioned right in front of us when it's promoted or announced, and it's stuff like that, which means people, they're not stupid, they're not dumb, they're just uninformed at the overall agenda. And it's not about giving people choice. It's about removing your choice, but dangling a carrot in front of you. We're here to protect you from terrorists, or we're here to keep you safe, or we're here to whatever they try to sell us. And so now I think they're overpaying people not to work so that it'll make it easier to roll out the universal basic allowance, as I said, which is a part of this is designed to keep the unemployment going until January, when they can roll out that next bill called the Boost Act. So yeah, it's one.
Oh man, man. I just it's depressing, man. And the reason why it's depressing, Mike, is because I don't see a change. I don't see a resolution to this stopping. I don't see the American citizens with pitchforks. I don't see that ever happening because they've got us in a compromised situation where everything is locked down because of this virus. It's a delicate balance. I don't know what that balance is as far as how long do you keep things locked down versus how long, when do you open back up? Because my thing is the economy is done regardless if you open up or not. So to me, the top priority should be the health of the population. Yeah. So I'm like, I think it doesn't. You open up tomorrow, I think it's still messed up, man. The economy is gone. It was built on a house of cards anyway. Yeah. This was just the pin that pricked the bubble.
Right.
What do you say?
Agree. And so think about this. So no matter what, as you mentioned, it's done. The pain is present. Everybody's lives have been altered in one form or another, whether it's been through employment, like they're up, or funds, or you lost something, your business closed. So everybody's, lives have been changed. But on top of that, psychologically, we've all been stained to where socially people will look at everyone differently now. Like, I walked around Home Depot earlier today to get some stuff. And as I'm walking, man, I don't wear a mask, outright. And so I wear it just when I go in places because I want to, psychologically, I know people. I was in a post office the other day, and a lady was like, she got on my case for not wearing. I had my mask on my head, not on my face, just because I was talking to the guy, whatever, we were chopping it up. She was like, "Sir, that mask doesn't do you any justice." I'm like, she's getting snotty with me. I'm like, "What that got to do with you, woman? You ain't even got one on, so why you getting on my case?" She's an older lady. So
she didn't have a mask on, but she was telling you
nothing on. She didn't have
nothing on. That
She's
Joe
getting on my
Biden.
case.
Don't worry, she forgot it in the car, man. She thought she had it on.
Right.
So I'm like, Joe Biden.
So this is a question I asked my wife the other day. I'm like, do you think that humanity might grow closer because of all the loss? Like, there's still everybody's been impacted. Probably they know somebody that's been this past. Do you think we'll come together and and learn to, love one another and to work together? Or will this like I don't want to come near you or touch you because you could be. So it's, like, where will this take us socially? That's where I'm concerned with, because the economy is dead. Will we help one another, or will we become one another's enemy?
What did she say?
So that, she was
your wife.
She was just open to talk about it further, because it's one of the things where, who knows, like, some people who believe that everything is coming to an end as far as like the health side of things being as bad as the mainstream media paints it, they're going to be very separate. They're not going to want to ever be included into certain events. But then you have those that are like, they're questioning things. They'll be easier to question the mainstream narrative and perhaps buy into the idea that, it might not be as bad for some people. If you are sick, stay home. If you're not, we still can gather with no problems. So I think it's going to boil down to whatever narrative you bought into. And then that's where we can talk about, whether, things is really bad as the mainstream media painted it, or is it not? And
Come on, Steve, man. You're in there flooding the chat room, bro. Like, if you truly want a question answered, super chat me and it'll stick in my viewpoint so I can see it. But let's get to his question. He said he would love to hear your thoughts, or our thoughts, on uranium opposed to silver, gold, or Bitcoin. He says uranium is rare, no space mining, and becomes ever more important as we head towards nuclear war and power. Wow. What are your thoughts about uranium? I don't know anything. I'm not really a big precious metal guy, so maybe you know more about it.
I'm not. Other than I think Doug was Doug Casey and Rick Rule, who I've had those guys on the show, and they see opportunity in uranium from an investment standpoint of funding the infrastructure to bring it about the ground. So they see a lot of value in it as far as what it's used for and stuff like that. But as far as something that you actually can hold and own, and I don't know much about it myself. And so outside of the historical sides of the metals, I'm familiar with that. And anything else in between, I don't really dip and dabble. Like mining shares and stuff like that, I don't dip and dabble, because my concerns is that, owning shares in certain jurisdictions might be considered, a major risk to you if the governments decide to nationalize out of just being cash strapped. And so there's going to be a lot of countries closing their borders to investing in certain projects, such as, I think here in uranium, I think Trump mentioned a while ago that we have the capabilities of becoming a leading leader in that area as well. So if that comes into fruition, and so be it. But I'm skeptical. I don't know much about it, so I don't play around with it. But yet, if you have that knowledge and know how to get involved with it, hey, why not knock yourself out? It's from the earth, so it's gonna be a value.
Man, uranium is a heavy metal. Like, where are you gonna be? I just don't. Hey, knock yourself out, Steve.
Exactly.
I don't know anything about it, so I can't help you on that front. I don't know, man. I'm still crypto, digital currency route. Because I can at least move. If there is a scenario where they want to ban gold, silver, even Bitcoin, it's going to hurt the price, but it's not going to hurt the utility and portability of cryptos, in my opinion. So I can walk around with $1 million in my brain. I can have a brain wallet and store that as long as I remember my phrase. But I don't know, man.
So with that analogy there, a lot of people, they reference just the ability to retain those numbers. Yeah. But think about the amount of disk, or if you're good with math and your memory is sharp to the T, then I'm sure there's no concerns. But imagine if you get like little knock upside the head, and all of a sudden, things aren't as normal.
Or the virus messes your memory up and or like with the Men in Black, they erase your memory.
So I mean that's a way of saying that you have control over it. But then again, it's that point where we've been used to having access to it, but not needing to outright control it. And that's where I think the shift is from like the bank, for example. Like, I think next couple of years, people are going to realize that, banks don't operate in your best interest, especially like we talk about going negative and stuff like that. And so apart from having your everyday expenditures deducted from automatic withdrawals, do you want to test and see if FDIC will be willing to back, you up to 250,000 or not, and stuff like that. So, it's going to come, the risk gets greater as time moves forward, and the ultimate risk falls all on you, unless are willing to move into that next realm of taking ownership for what you say is yours.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. I want to just jump back to this whole heroes or villain act, I'm gonna call it. It only has a single line for a $1,200 payment to individual Americans and provisions to prevent people from quote unquote double dipping into government stimulus. Meanwhile, wealthy Americans would get massive tax breaks, while those in high tax Democrat controlled states would once again be able to claim them on federal returns. So again, those who think that the Democrats help the middle class and that's just a guise. I the reason why I don't like Democrats is because at least with the Republicans, they're more so business oriented. They're going to be that way, right?
Yeah.
They want to help small businesses, big businesses. Not saying they do everything right either. There's some grimy stuff going on that side. But at least with them, I know kind of what angle they're coming at.
Yeah.
The Democrats, on the other hand, are wolves in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
They act like they're all philanthropic and want to help the middle class and do all that. But really, man, they're just helping their rich Democrats. To be honest with you.
That's how the political structure has taken form over the last several decades. And so up until the last 10 years, I never paid attention the way I do now. But just looking at how my family tree, how without even asking questions, automatically it's that you're voting for whoever's Democrat. So now it's more of a mental conditioning that the Democratic Party is, I guess, the People's Party, and the Republicans are the greedy, the 1%ers, those that are. And I'm thinking like, well, obviously that lets me know that they're not business owners, and so they don't realize all the defined details that go into running a business, to where you might want to learn from those people over there who operate on a different level, so that you can be included on some of them deals at some point, as opposed to waiting on a Democratic side to make a promise to you or try to hand something out to you or make a suggestion for you, as opposed to you telling them what you want. So. I'm past the point of seeing left or right. I think they're all in the same school. They all went to the Ivy League, and they all are part of the whatever clubs and societies and whatever going right on up the pole.
I agree with you, bro. I agree with you. I want to talk about what's going on in Texas, man. I know you kind of give the audience your view on this virus. Yeah. I know you said recently you had someone close to you was affected by it. They passed from COVID. Kind of give me your assessment, or the audience your assessment of what's going on. Do you think we should keep things locked down like we're doing here in Michigan for a little bit longer, or do you think we should go the route of like a Texas?
Well, I read the article, whatever, about Texas, and even from like the talk show side on my end, where people call in from everywhere and would tell me that, hey, Mike, we're full open, everything is normal, whatever. And then all of a sudden read now that things are ticking up. Doesn't surprise me. And so my personal opinion on this whole virus situation is that, I've always believed that it was strategically placed in this time and this time frame. So I believe at this point now, we all can agree that it's not the wording of it is natural. The actual composition of however it operates is not necessarily natural. No, and that it was created and altered for a purpose. So no one would go through those problems to do all that unless it was intended to be used at some point. And I think 2020, of course, was that time frame from a global standpoint.
So you think it was leaked intentionally?
I would say that I believe that last fall, when it first reared its head above ground, apparently in Wuhan, in the laboratory from whatever we were told initially, and the response or lack thereof from that point on, it was something that was strategically placed. Now, who did it? I don't know. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if China unleashed it to begin the process, but then the U.S. knew about it, because what's the point of having a surveillance state and cameras and everything tapped and they not know about something like that during that time frame? That's
my concern. I don't. Yeah.
What?
It could be, but here's the thing. What we do a lot especially like in alt media, I personally think we actually give the powers at B, or the people in charge, we actually give them a little bit too much credit as far as being all knowing and they're colluding in this one world, this and that. Personally, it always seems like we give them a little bit too much credit, and maybe the emperor has no clothes and really doesn't control don't know what they're doing.
Okay, but controlled,
Yeah.
but steered towards a certain direction, I would believe would be probably a better word. So, and even it goes back to, I was talking about, there's a video out there where a journalist got a hold of a Rockefeller case study or something like that, where it written in 2010 or it's published in 2010 for the public. So I actually found it online somewhere. I forgot what it's called, but there's 4 scenarios of what the Rockefeller and all the contributors to that think tank put together at what we could possibly expect in the future. And out of all 4 of those scenarios, one of them being a pandemic issue starting out of China, and then it gave a whole story. It was a beautifully written story as to how it all would unfold. And by coincidence, it appears that we're in that right now in a similar fashion, to where China would take bold measures to stop it and track and trace and put heat monitors and thermometers. And I'm thinking like, well, wow, that's very interesting. That's by coincidence that they happen to write a perfect movie script. And here we are, what was from an original releasing of that in 2010 to 2020, and it playing out just like that. And I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that everything is, somehow one way or another put together. And like the timing of it and how it plays out, I think we have a say so as to how it all unfolds, whether we go along with it or we resist. And up until this point, mankind, don't really tend to resist on things that they never question. And then after the fact, we look back, and then that's when by that time it's too late to question, like i.e. 9/11, like Building 7. To this day, most people don't know that it went down, but it wasn't hit by nothing, but it went down at the same time. So was it time? I don't know. But then you have engineers coming out saying that the buildings can't fold like that, metal can't burn at that, and there's bombs. So now we question 10 years, but what happened then? So just me personally, that impacted me majorly because I was in college still. And I look at now, I see the same type of events occurring where the problem, reaction, solution, the Hegelian dialect or whatever it is, playing out smoothly, to where I would automatically lump this into that, to where I think it was strategically placed for this time frame. And now it's a matter of, ushering in the next 5 to 10 years of a global totalitarian state type of approach to everything, which will be the eventual problem. And that's where this is heading, in my opinion. So as far as the coronavirus, let me get back to the main question.
No, I want to just jump in before you do that, because you talked about a movie that depicted that, but also, I don't know if you know about this one too, the Dean Koontz book that really, that did kind of shake me, man. I'm not one of those type of conspiracy theorists type of guys, tinfoil hat, but that was a little weird, man. Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you. I dropped a link so people could see. I don't know if it's on Amazon anymore. But
so that book probably sold out after that. It probably back then it may have not been heavily read, but it sold out once we all got a hold of that. So I saw the same thing. I didn't read it.
What do you think about that?
Go in there.
What do you think about that book?
So that goes back to what, the 70s? That was written in the 70s, wasn't it?
80 something, but from what I understand, the part about the Wuhan Wu flu was added in a new edition of it that came out, I want to say in 95 or something like that.
So I didn't know about that part.
Yeah.
So it just boils down to your particular approach to things. Is that by coincidence, or was that a heads up? And one of the biggest things is, based upon all the people I follow, I've heard that it's kind of like a insider's code that it's only right to give the people a sniff as to what will be their future, according to the way they planned it. And so I would just say that could be a simple re-edition with them including something that is currently underway. Like, it's too close for it not to have been something that was strategically placed in there to give us a sample as to the fact that they can say that we can tell you ahead of time what it's going to be. What can you do about it? You know what I'm saying? We own your governors. We own your government. We own, so we own the currency you work for. So, you're going to play by our rules. And sure enough, look at us. Not much resistance out there, is it?
No, it's not, man. And I don't know. It's just really, to me, to be honest with you, it seems, when I see stuff like that, I really feel like we live in a matrix. Like it's all a game. Like we live in some simulated thing that whoever you want to call it, God or whoever running this thing is just playing with us, man. It's crazy. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I just want to highlight it's in the book. It says in around 2020, severe pneumonia-like illness will spread. Now this is put out, people, in 1995. 1995. It says a severe pneumonia-like illness will spread throughout the globe, attacking the lungs and the bronchial tubes and resisting all known treatments. Almost more baffling than the illness itself will be the fact that it will suddenly vanish as quickly as it arrived. That's what Mr. Trump was talking about. Guys, it's gonna disappear. And then it says attack again in 10 years, then disappear completely. So it wasn't spot on, but it was close enough for me to be like, whoa, 2020, severe pneumonia. What the hell is going on?
Out of all the years, you just throw out 2020. It could have been 2010, 2030. They said 2020. And sure enough, look what we got. A respiratory, lungs, pneumonia-like. I mean, it's that thing, whoever put that in there as a re-edition of it, a re-rendering of it, I would assume they had RDNA. So they had to have known a little bit of something or read something or been a part of a study that was in the works or something like that. But I don't know. CB, you let me know. Is that coincidental? Can that? What's the likelihood?
Okay, it's not coincidental, but again, Mike, I try to take all angles just to see, and I keep that tinfoil hat. I try to keep it away, man, because that's the easy. He got his.
It never leaves me.
In most cases, though, Mike, that's the easy route out to just go ahead and throw some elaborate conspiracy together. To me, I want to try to think of all possibilities, and what if it was a self-fulfilling thing, meaning the person who wrote this, they wrote it, put it out in the book, but then some crazy scientist that does work in the lab saw this and is like, I'm gonna put it out in 2020. So basically like a self-fulfilling thing backwards, the other way around.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a possibility. And that's the thing, like, Laura willing, 10, 15 years from now, we'll look back and we'll get more, they'll release some, the white paper, whatever they call it. What they call them, the sealed, what's they call? What's the thing they FBI know? They keep it on lock for 20, 30 years until they get permission.
Oh yeah, the redacted things. I don't forget what they call
them. Right. So we might get those when we old and gray, and then we're like, man, remember that? So you mean to tell me that they did that originally intentionally? I mean, they told them about it too. They put it in the book, but nobody wanted to believe them. But here's the thing: whether we knew it was coming or not, what could we have really done to prepare for that? You know what I'm saying? Like, they say be prepared for whatever. We talk about preparation from a monetary economic collapse standpoint, nevertheless, a health standpoint, because like one thing I do not hear in the mainstream narrative is the concept of treatment or just overall health improvement. Just like work, a lot of people from what I've gathered, happen to be people who have already had issues and or overweight or whatever it might be. Like right now might be a good time to concern yourself with your personal shape, to get in shape or in the better version of your shape that you can get into, and then build upon treatments and whatnot. They go right to a vaccine. No, it comes out through 2 months later, we're gonna have a vaccine ready. Like, whoa, slow down there. What can we do to better help ourselves now? And if you're gonna vaccinate everybody, let that 3-4 years take its place so people have confidence to want to take it. But you rush out something in 6-8 months, man. Come on now, like, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not with the vaccine. If they even are able, to be honest with you, I'm not even sure they're able to come up with a vaccine yet. There's been a decent amount of evidence, substantial amount of evidence to show that there's a possibility we won't even be able to have a vaccine. So
now
I don't know.
Did you see that recent article, I think today or yesterday, about antibody treatment that can block the actual virus itself from your cells or whatnot,
nice.
And it's apparently, according to the Sorrento, I think like that, it's very promising. Test trials right now show that it is effective.
They did it in some type of animal, I believe.
From that same company you're talking about?
Yeah, I think so. And so I think I can't remember what type of animal.
So now, so why not? So I watched the President Trump's briefing yesterday in the Rose Garden, and he informed us all about treatments, the vaccine, and the collaboration with the military. And one of the reporters asked a question about the time frame for everything, and he mentioned that the treatment aspect is something that can be done now, And then within the end of this year, according to the new health czar, that happens to be a vaccine specialist. He's been a part of 14 different vaccines in the last umpteen years. And so I'm thinking like everybody that's been brought in are already connected to the system in a way that it benefits them, to where I'm like, you couldn't really trust any of that in the first place, because those are the same people that stand to benefit the most, whether it works or not. So they're not really concerned with putting out a good product, especially if they're being rushed to do it. And it's going to be something, hopefully, God forbid it doesn't, but it becomes something mandatory anyway. If everybody going to have to be forced to take one, they don't got to really, put any care into it or really make sure it's effective to treat, because you can't cure it. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
Oh my goodness. The flu comes every year. The flu, everybody get flu shots. We've been getting flu shots forever. I don't get one of those either, but yet people still get the flu. And it hasn't solved the flu because there's so many strands and all types of mutations.
Right. So the flu is a little different because the flu does mutate every year very aggressively. Mm-hmm. I'm hearing this one doesn't. This one doesn't mutate as aggressively.
So that's another thing. Based upon, so right now we're working on, maybe 90 days worth of information, or if you go back to January, when we heard about it. But right now, all the information that we're being given and processing from based upon the trials, and like even Chris Martin sent his information.
I love his stuff.
I enjoy it too. But sometimes I question, his approach as well, because by him being a PhD doctor, he seems to still go along with the mainstream narrative as opposed to contradict it most of the times. Sometimes
you think so?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, so he to me, it's still more fear or more precaution. I don't know what word to use, but I don't sense a feeling of like we're going to be good. Like, we're going to overcome this.
No, I don't either. I don't either.
He comes like, like he still comes from that precautionary, you should still be afraid, as opposed to, letting it.
Well, the reason I say I don't think he's, I think he's being precautious, like you said, and being real about the situation, because in some instances in life, you're in the situation where it's not a good outcome right now. You know what I'm saying? So I think I'm with him with. Yeah, wearing masks. If everyone would wear masks when they're inside of public places, it would drastically cut down on the spread of this virus. Yeah, personally,
I'm for that. I'm cool with that. And so where we can go overboard is the fact that the mainstream narrative and all the PhD economists and experts tell us that you should wear one outside when you walk in your dog.
I don't think you need to do that.
If a gust of wind come your way, you better have your mask on. I'm thinking I
don't think that's going too far, because we've heard that the UV light from the sun kills it anyway in the air. So I don't think that's necessary. But let's talk about this Texas coronavirus cases ticking up, and we kind of left off with saying whether or not, I was asking you the question, whether or not do you think going the approach of what Big Gretch is doing here in Michigan is the right way, or do you think going the route of like a Texas, a Georgia, and Florida is the right way?
Well, man, okay, great question there, and it's twofold, man. And so, being a part of Michigan, I witnessed what a more stringent lockdown, what we're told it looks like. And as we talked about the other week, we're on lockdown, but yet you still can go where, you still can do you and go wherever you want to go. It's just all the things labeled non-essential is not open. So you're kind of stuck because you can't go to gym, workout, shoot. You can't do what you want to do.
And first world problems.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's not necessarily bad. But what's bad is the economic consequences of all that. So you shut down businesses, there's going to be issues. So on the health side, I haven't really noticed a difference, because people wear masks here, and whether we're locked down or not, out of sheer fear, people will wear masks and distance themselves and stuff like that. So I'm not sure if it's been proven to be effective, because we still had so-called large numbers, but the hospitals are not as crowded as they used to be.
Right. So let's take a look. I mean, I got the numbers up from Michigan, and I think I don't know if I brought this up on your channel, had it displayed, or we just talked about it, but if you take a look at the numbers, I mean, you see the curve is coming down. Yeah. The issue for me is, at what point do you open back up? Because it doesn't matter how long you keep it closed. it's not going to eliminate the virus. So I don't know, like, do you just go ahead and let it run wild? I personally don't think you should, but it's a catch-22 in my opinion with this scenario.
I think since there's no way of stopping it, and there's no way of actually determining the how long and the long-term impact, other than if we don't try to do something to get back to normal, we can pretty much guarantee that, like, there's going to be a second wave. There's going to be a flare up. There's going to be another round or whatever, more than likely. And I think by Texas and all of them starting to experience cases now, I think that those will be the states that, God forbid, 6 months from now, have extraordinarily large cases, and then the president then forced to say lockdown again. So I think they should have done it, and they should have done it together, so that it wouldn't put us at a disadvantage. Because if our numbers are down and we're starting to open up, and then Texas Texas, Georgia, Florida, they go bananas down there in the next 6 to 7 months, we're all going to, feel the consequences of it, because it's going to be a national emergency again ×2. So it's one of those things where it's not going away. And I can't say just let it just have its way, but it's something that we're going to have to deal with, the good and the bad. And if they should give us the choice. If you know that you have health issues, then you should be able to opt out, stay home, and then the government will assist you. But if you're young, vibrant, and you think you're healthy and you're willing to take that risk, you shouldn't be forced to stay home. So you should be able to go out and try to produce for yourself, so that it doesn't put that much of a strain on government and the economy. So I think they should give people the choice to decide, as opposed to telling us what to do. Now, whether it's right or wrong, I don't know, but we're going to find out anyway, because as you mentioned earlier, it's going to be painful no matter what. It is.
And that's the thing. To me, that's my whole rationale why I just stay locked down. And again, the whole lockdown is not a lockdown, people. People are over exaggerating here in America. We're really over exaggerating it. We can move around freely. Yeah, some of our amenities and what we like to get our hair cut and go to the gym. Okay, we'll do first world problems.
Yeah.
But I just think stay locked down for a little bit longer, maybe another month or two, just to get it as low as we possibly can. So when we reopen, our starting point for the flare up will be a little bit lower than if we were to open up, let's say how Georgia is doing. I don't know, man. I can't say my route is the best route either, because at the end of the day, it's going to go back up.
It's going to go back up, yeah.
It's going to go back up, so I don't know.
As it goes back up, so will the national debt go exponentially up. Everything, all the activities that the governments and central banks are doing is going to go up. So anyway, we're going that way. Now it's a matter of, like, between now and that time, allow people the freedom, or allow people the opportunity to choose. Because we're going to come to a point where they're probably going to even furthermore have to crack down. Saying they're going to say something like the lockdown procedures were not as stringent enough, and we have to do more now. So we're putting them in position now where, when it flares up again, they're going to say we need to really now crack down, and then that's when things can get out of hand, because people don't like to be told what to do already. But imagine when they're forced to, and God forbid they put some forces on the streets to oversee some things. And that's my biggest concern, is that as the debt and all that stuff gets out of hand, and they try to paper over the problem by overcompensating people to stay home, that we run into some logistical issues and some supply chain issues, which is only a matter of time. Because if the economy is closed or not fully open, people aren't manufacturing and producing. Therefore, there's going to be less things to purchase out there. And then that's when things can get really out of hand, I believe.
Interesting. And as you guys saw, I had on the screen there, Texas cases, you see the dotted line where they open on May 1st, and the bars of new cases. You can see the chart that just shows you an average daily of new cases, definitely higher than where they were prior to opening. And I think, you really have to wait with this thing, man. You got to wait 2 to 3 weeks anyway for you to actually see the impact fully.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's a delayed effect. So you're going to have to wait 5 to 6 weeks to see what the death rate impact is from when you open. So I think that's where we're, as a society, we're so anxious to get back open, and we're not waiting. It's a delayed effect with this thing. It doesn't, the ramifications from us opening too soon or not won't be seen for weeks, a month even, Yeah. But as you stated, it's a delicate balance act, because as you guys see, the Texas job loss, I mean, look, before it all went down, 1.1%, 1.2% unemployment or initial claims, and then boom, we're up to 9.2.
Yeah. And this is just, and that's why one thing I constantly remind people is that this is just the beginning. Like, we're literally 60 days, maybe 90 days into the initial, just the initial response from what has just occurred or what's occurring. And like I mentioned before, all the states that are already open, I hope not, but yet they might end up having the same situation where they have a New York style, Michigan style, increase. And then also
it's gonna
the government feels
it's
more.
gonna happen, bro.
Yeah.
You can't wish this thing away. It's a virus.
Yeah.
You can't wish it away. You can't politicize it. You can't say right, left. Doesn't matter. Doesn't care how. You saw what happened to Boris Johnson over in the UK. He was down, was in ICU.
Yeah.
So it hits any and everybody. I don't know. I just think we're done, bro. As far as, because I think America is done more so because it was already a house of cards anyway, right?
Yeah.
Like this whole last 10 years has been nonsense. It's been printed over.
Artificially induced.
Artificially. I feel like just let us take the hit now. Now meaning back in 2008, let everything crash, bankrupt, do all that, and clean it out. And we would have been in a much better situation right now, Mike, if we would have let that happen in 2008, 2009.
Now the question is, who is we? Like us, we the people, or the system? Because the bank, all this is about the too big to fail banks. They are overseers of our entire monetary system in a sense. They own a central bank. So I think everything that has been done is about them and whatever they want to do. And for some reason, JP Morgan is always in the mix of everything. They have the largest silver hoard that we're told. And then on top of that, they're getting in the fact they're backing Coinbase and Gemini. They're getting in the exchange, baby. They're getting in the exchange business, man.
Yep.
And didn't Jamie Dimon say something like, we'll never be vested in Bitcoin? Then they go out and buy some. Then they walked it down. Now they're getting in on the game because they can't miss out. So coincidence, or was it already a part of the initial equation?
So Aircoins Lee asks a good question here, Mike. He says, how do you feel about people making more money, I should say, on unemployment than working? What fool is going to work these stressful jobs? And how are these companies going to compete with unemployment? What do you think about that? I mean, this is true. This is true.
And so I hear stories about that often. And to my personal opinion is that if I was in that position, I can completely understand how. The sad reality is the majority of people do not enjoy what they do in the first place.
Right.
And the only reason they do it is because they have to make a check.
They have to. Yep.
So they do everything based upon a dollar sign anyway. And so if you have a chance to get that dollar sign or more without having to sacrifice your time, then more than likely you're going to do it. And so I'm not surprised at all. The only problem with that is that nothing comes for free. Everything comes at a cost. And as I mentioned before about dangling a carrot.
Yeah.
And so the whole idea of incentivizing people more, like there will be no need really to offer an additional 600 on top of whatever people have if this was just meant to be a temporary measure. But the fact they're over incentivizing people gives me an idea that this is meant to be a long drawn out process to further force the people to become dependent upon government in hopes of them probably one day not wanting to let it go because they're going to be asked to do some things down the line that they may not want to do, but because they don't want to be cut off, they might just do it. And so I think with this universal basic allowance being introduced probably next year, where you're going to get a monthly thing, this is all the process needed to take us into whatever they want to bring us into next. With the Hearse, complete surveillance state and just the whole new branding of our monetary system, whatever that's going to be, this is a transition period. And they want to have as little resistance as possible. The best way to do that is to give people what they think they want, which is more of the very same thing that they can easily create with no problem. So I'm not mad at people for taking advantage of. So if you're in that position, my thought is take it, get as much value, whatever value is to you, out of the system while you can, in hopes of you being able to transfer some of that into whatever comes next. And then more importantly, this should be a great tool to teach people that you probably want to start doing something on your own.
There you go. That's exactly what I was going to point at, Mike. I think for for those who can or are able. I won't sit up here and say everyone should be an entrepreneur. I don't think that's a realistic message to put out there, but get you a little side something going on. You know, it doesn't have to be your main source of income, but just start being more self-reliant in the sense of have multiple streams of income if you can.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know,
So,
I think,
and it's not thing like not even being an entrepreneur, just realizing that you now probably have a little bit more time to get involved in things you enjoy. Now, how can you take those things that you enjoy and bring it to other people to where you can formulate your own community? Having your own community is like being able to have a team that you can put together, that you can serve, and from that comes opportunity. Like right now is a time to look for opportunities with this time. So not necessarily entrepreneur, but yet you can dip and dabble, form communities that can also ultimately down the line add value to people that can turn out to be a blessing in your life at some form or fashion down the line. So
yeah, no, I hear you, bro. So I mean, to kind of echo what Mike is saying, Air Coins Lee, I think no right person is going to do it. It's going to create moral hazard. You're going to have people staying home. Yeah. They're going to milk the system. There's nothing you can do about that.
Right.
Simply nothing you can do about that for that class of people. So it's not everyone. You know, it's a certain class of people who make a certain amount of money per hour where it's more beneficial for them to stay home than to, go out and seek more job opportunities. So those individuals are going to do that. But for a decent chunk of people, at least people I know, if they get laid off, their unemployment is going to be significantly less than what they made working, even with the $600 additional. So, it's not for everyone. That's the situation.
And another thing is, what I noticed is that one thing I personally always valued is, I enjoy certain fruits of my labor, but I never overextended myself to where I couldn't maintain myself if there was some economic situation such as this. Like I personally, I hate debt, man. Like I try to keep as few hands in my pocket as I can, to where I'm not living well beyond my means in a sense. And so I think a lot of people now are realizing how our country, we've been conditioned to go out and buy and get the latest and greatest things that, and never consider, what if you lose your job? You know what I'm saying? Like, because there's no such thing as job security anyway, but we've been blessed in this land to be able to experience a pretty fruitful 10 years. But at some point you would have to know that there's going to be another downturn of the economy. And so having prepared for that would position you differently now, to where it wouldn't be much different than what you're already doing, depending on where you at. But once again, it's those that are not as informed to how this system operates, to where it's all meant to keep you plugged in and keep you trapped in the system. They don't want you to escape it. So therefore, you're going to run to whoever feeds you. And it looks like the government wants to feed people now directly.
Yeah. But I say, we must be in a world of a mess and pain to see Republicans act like, I can't see this. I can't tell the difference now. The lines are blurred. I can't tell the difference between a Republican and a Democrat. They all handing out money. Yeah. What are your thoughts about this? Do you think, and I've heard this many times as well, that this was planned in a way to kind of do a reset on the system? Do you believe and go with that narrative, or do you think this was not planned to reset it? They're just kind of taking advantage of the opportunity right now.
Great point, man. So I think I do believe in cycles. And so, you got the boom and bust. Yep. Like the economy's doing good, then it corrects. So as you mentioned, in 2008, the goal should have been to allow things to correct. They did not do that. So now they're in an emergency situation where they want to keep this thing going. But I do believe that the restructuring is underway. Like, I don't think it'll be a reset, because now we're in a digital age, and we're going to be, ushered into something completely new. But it is a restructuring going on right now, I believe.
Here's my thing, man. I don't think, like, I thought the system that they had us under already was fine enough. Like, they're making money, they're skimming from us, they're taking wealth from us every day through inflation, money printing, cycling it through the Wall Street mechanism. Like, I don't see what was wrong with the system that they had going on now. There was nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, I think due to greed, whoever they are, the banks and the shareholders that own all those corporations, the oligarchy families or whatever, they want world dominance. They want to dominate humanity. So I don't think it's necessarily about money. I think it's just from a sense of just evil. They want to control humanity. Like they want to enslave humanity. So I don't think enough's enough. As I mentioned before, we mentioned earlier, man just going to do everything they can till they become God. I think they literally want to have majority of the population as serfs and slaves, flat out. Like, so, you know, currency is just what we tend to work for, but yet that's not enough for them, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So that's just me. Like,
we got a caller here, Mike. Let's get him on the line. Caller, who's calling in?
Hey, this is Ray from Louisiana. How you doing, Mike and Blood?
Doing good, Ray. How you doing, my man?
Okay, just wanted to give y'all an update on Louisiana. We just went into phase 1 of, getting back into the world, and everything is still a little. Yeah. Friday was the governor gave us, I guess you say phase 1 of the plan that the White House gave out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. The CDC phase 1 or whatever.
Yes,
right?
yes.
I got you.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But for as the, I went out this morning to with my son make groceries and everything, and he and I both had our masks on. I'm recovered. I've had a heart attack and heart bypass surgery before, so I'm gonna make sure I protect myself working from home. But man, about 80% of the people, man, I'm talking about small kids, everybody, no mask, no nothing going on, like it's a regular day,
Really?
Yes, and for a state that got hit so hard,
I was gonna say, y'all got hit hard down in New Orleans.
Well, not just New Orleans, all of Louisiana, all of the southern part of Louisiana. And when you're talking about New Orleans, you're talking about Houston also, because most of eastern Texas is basically people from Louisiana who went there looking for work. Gotcha. So. I personally know 7 people, some family members from me and my wife, and just people we know that passed away from this.
Yeah,
so
same here.
It's real. It's real.
It is real.
Wow.
Just wish people would take it a little bit more seriously, man. Like I saw a comment earlier in the chat room, Mike, about this Kawasaki disease being triggered in kids because of COVID. So
I haven't dived into it much, but I heard about it, so I'm gonna definitely dive into that more. But
that's concerning to me. So that sounds like it's mutating in some form or fashion, because that wasn't the case initially. Kids were not being affected.
So that goes into more of it being artificially created, and so the mutations of it. Like, we don't know what's inside of it, man. Like, we're just literally in the beginning of this. We know what we've been told, but this kid situation changed the game big time, man.
Yeah, it does. So, Ray, what are your thoughts on the topics we've been talking about tonight?
Well, I guess I wanted to pass this along to you guys. I spoke with my cardiologist last week, and just yesterday I spoke with my internist, my family practitioner, and the cardiologist. Actually, I spoke to his nurse practitioner. And she was telling me, like, he's scratching his head because he's seen so much stuff that's just unusual. 35-years-olds having strokes.
The
strokes and heart
another
attacks.
thing. Yes, that's another thing. See, my wife works in the hospital, Ray, and she's she's giving me like updates on the ground level with a lot of stuff that she communicates with doctors. She has to, because she has to deal with specimens all the time, and it's but we're starting to learn that it's attacking T cells. So it's more of a blood thing than even so much a lung thing. It's more of a blood situation where the virus is attacking T cells and causing blood clots. She said they've seen an increase in amputations from patients with COVID. Young, old, doesn't matter. They're having to amputate, having to cut off their legs because of blood clots.
Damn, I didn't know that. I know what that did.
And then my family doctor yesterday, she was telling me, when in March and April, she cut back her practice 2 days a week to 2 days a week, so she could help out at the hospital with, the increase in the patients from the virus. And she was saying she just seen stuff she never seen before. And she says no rhyme or reason. She said, blood, it'll hit you one way, then it'll hit Mike one way, then it'll hit me a third way. you know, and she was saying, well, things finally starting to calm down. But she's something like you, Blood. She's worried because she was saying, you know, you already had half the people didn't believe in it anyway. And now you kind of like letting people, you know, go out more, and, you know, the restaurants starting to open, the barbershop starting to open, and, you know, she's just worried about it, you know.
Yeah, I'm concerned about it. You know, I'm more concerned about just the public, you know, and how we're as a whole are gonna deal with it. And, you know, people have to realize and zoom out. Sometimes we get really myopic in our thinking, especially here in America. We think the world is America, right? We think everything, any issue here is the world's issue. But if you zoom out and look, it's not even, it's a global issue, people. Like Brazil is going through hell right now because their president is not taking it seriously. Yeah. Their case is out of control.
And the health minister just quit. They go to
The second one. The second health minister just quit, man.
That's bad when you got people quitting on you, man.
You know, Italy's doing better. They're definitely doing better. They're coming down the curve, but this is a world issue. This has nothing to do with America and the conspiracy. To me, to take control of our freedom and all of that. To me, I mean, you know, it's not black and white, so there may be some elements of that. Of course, they're going to take advantage of the situation, but I don't know, man. I just want people to take it more seriously. Thank you for the call, Ray. I appreciate it.
No problem.
You guys
appreciate
stay
you,
safe
man.
down there.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. All right, let's get this other caller, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Call on the line. It's your boy Crypto Blood and Mike tonight, episode 39. I'm sorry. Who's calling in? Who's calling in? You there?
Somebody from DC, isn't it? 202?
Is that 202 DC?
I think so.
Is that President Trump? Trump. What's going on, Trump?
CB and Mike.
How you doing, my man?
What's going on, man?
Hey, my fault, man. I was on mute. This is my first time calling, man. It's Ice Cold Crypto, man. How you doing, Mike and CB?
Oh, man, Ice Cold. Let me throw a shout out there for you. I thought you were Donald Trump there calling from D.C. for a minute, brother.
Yeah, now I'm in the DMV area, man. Not too far from the nation's capital, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm out in the PG County area. Grew up in D.C. though, man. It's one of the calls. And check y'all out, man. Love what y'all doing, man. Y'all inspired me to get my channel back going, man.
Yeah, you were doing
always
videos a couple
bringing that
years
back
ago.
content.
You kind of slowed down.
Yeah, you know, man, just been doing some things. I'm an entrepreneur myself, so just kind of slowed down from doing the videos in 2018. You know, once we went through that bear market, still was following up, but just kind of slowed down. But man, I think we're gonna have a great year in 2020. So I just been trying to bring some awareness back, you know, to my peers and to, you know, to the community, showing them why I think they should get involved and why it's still early to be involved with cryptocurrency. You know, especially Bitcoin.
What's your channel name, man?
Ice Cold Crypto.
Ice Cold Crypto. Okay, good deal. I'm check it out.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that actually comes from
what's your thoughts on what's going on with the topic right now is this coronavirus thing, and you know, Texas is opening back up. Has any of your family been affected by this either in DC area or abroad?
Yeah, actually it has, man. I was I had some friends down in Texas that's been dealing with it. They actually haven't ventured back out yet. They said they letting them open back up and they're gonna let them see how it goes. You know what I mean? They said they not going back out just yet. But here in the DMV area, man, we definitely dealing with the social distancing. Man, you gotta wear the mask when you go inside the store. So, you know, my family has actually been affected by it. I got two younger kids who work. I got a son who's 21. My daughter's she's about to turn 18, and my daughter was working at a fast food restaurant back in March. My son was working at a grocery store, and both of them are affected by asthma and respiratory illness. So I didn't really know what was going on. So it wasn't a priority for them to work. You know what I mean? They live with me. They good to go, but they work. They want to have their own things. So but once that was going on, I said, man, y'all might need to come home from work. You know what I mean? Until we figure out what was going on. So I actually pulled my kids from working just because I was unsure. But I feel a certain type of way about it. I'm not, because I don't know what's going on. You got to take it serious until you have more information. now I have more information. I do believe it may not be as serious. It can affect people who have different illnesses and already have, pre-existing conditions. But, I just wanted to pull my kids away from it. But now, they haven't been at work. They did apply for the unemployment. So I'm like, what do we do? Do you accept the money that they're giving away?
Hell yeah,
right now,
take that money.
I mean?
You better take that money.
For real.
You better take all the,
you know what I mean?
Do it all, bro. Try to get it all because they've been, listen, the bailouts in 2008 went to who? You know who?
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly. So cause I'm a small business owner. I've been an entrepreneur out of the corporate world since 2010. So I felt some of the strain from it, but also always instilled that in them as far as trying to start your own business. So my son, he's doing his thing from home, and like you said, this is giving him more time.
Since you're an entrepreneur, did you file for the PPP loan?
We started it out, but then there was some confusion going on.
Come
so I
on,
think we pulled back, man, and figure out what was going on.
Man, listen. This is the only time they're gonna give a brother a loan in this decade. So you better get this PPP loan. If you're an entrepreneur, you better go get that money.
I heard some people, man, they applied for it, but they didn't get it.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people put in for it, but they're gonna make sure
for my businesses. But I haven't got anything yet. But hey, don't shoot for it, bro. Don't let them just, try to get it.
No, I
finish that.
I definitely agree, man.
Because you can use that money as seed
like
money to, to either start another business that will, not I want to say exploit, but take advantage of the new paradigm we're in. Start making something. That's what I've been telling people. A lot of the manufacturing is going to come back home, right? We're not going to rely on China as much for things. So think of something to make, man, or buy some. I can't tell you what to do, but
That's exactly what we've kind of been doing because not just put my stuff out there, but I do ice cream, but also have a printing company. So we've ordered masks and we've been doing a lot of T-shirts for businesses and stuff now. We do printing, so we do vinyl cutting and we got a print shop. So we actually been business picked up since.
Man, you can easily get some money, man. I know a couple of my clients, not them directly, they've applied for it, but his buddy got $300,000 for he does marble. He creates marble counters and stuff like that, marble work, and he got $300,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, get that money. Like my man Chavez said, my cousin, he said EIDL, PPP, unemployment, stimulus, get all that money. That's right, get it all, take it all, and don't even pay it back.
Hey.
Just take it.
Hey, no question. That's what I've been telling my kids. I said, there's some of this money coming, and they're giving an extra $600 a week. We're gonna put a little bit of that in the crypto every week, man. Been looking into these stable coins lately. How far do you think that's going though, man? Like, cause
I don't know.
As far as like your cash in the bank, man. Cause I've been trying to I know not financial advice, but how do you play the market if you do have cash that you're sitting on, and it's in the bank, you know what I mean?
Mike, I was telling Mike that this whole, staking and DeFi environment and community in the crypto scene is hot right now, man. You can really take advantage of staking your funds, especially in stable coins. You don't have to stake them in a volatile crypto. You can stake it in a stable coin. So it's a $1 for $1 while you're earning interest on it. So, crypto.com is where I do my staking, and it's just taking advantage of it, man. It's better than sitting in the bank. But like Mike said, I agree. I have my concerns about the longevity of this. How long will they let this go? Or at what point will the popularity of it get their attention, Mike, and then they go in and do some regulatory constraints or whatever? Because these companies that, at least crypto.com, they're all on, they're legitimate, right? They follow all the rules and they're registered with this and that and all of that. So I'm just taking advantage of it.
I think they're going to do something, no doubt. So I looked at crypto.com, also looked at Celsius.com just because I like the owner, Alex Malinsky, because I've I come from the I come from the telecommunications background, so I work for that's how I kind of got into Bitcoin. I used to install T1 and DSL lines. I got into the telecommunications field around about 98, 99, installing telephone lines and additional jacks for fax lines back in 98, 99, and then we moved to FiOS and high speed. So yeah, exactly. So we was putting additional phone lines in the people's houses, and we was doing T1 and DSL, then it moved into the high speed and coax, so voice over coax and different things like that. He started voice over IP, so that kind of brought me into Celsius and how you can earn additional money on it, just like crypto.com. And I thought that was,
that is another one. I haven't used them, but crypto.com is one of my patrons, so that's why I rep.
Yeah, I see them. I like that, man. Their app is nice. Their app is nice. Very nice.
Yep.
Got the debit card what I mean?
Too,
I definitely.
So whenever I need to spend something, I can.
Now, my thing is with the card, do you actually use it, or is this one of the things where? Because I'm of the mindset I don't really think I should. I don't spend, what I'm saying? So
right.
Because of what's going on now, I'll spend those fiat currency notes, and then I don't need to spend crypto. So I have used my card. So do you actually use yours for certain purchases?
Man, you get perks. I haven't been using it much now. I haven't been going anywhere. I don't really do any online shopping, so I haven't. But before the lockdown, man, I was getting perks out the butt from it, man. Like at least 50, 60, 70 bucks a month in perks.
Really?
And like cash back rewards and stuff. You get like my Netflix gets paid for free because they do 100% cash back. So some perks to it, man. You got to stake a decent amount of. Well, it depends on what card you get, but if you stake the coins, you get that different level of card. So there are perks with it.
Yeah, but you do also get it without even staking anything, though. Like if you do stake, you get more. But that's why I like it. They'll even if you don't, you can get it. But
I'm
just going back to like whether or not they would stop it or not.
I think that's a possibility.
I would say it definitely is a possibility, but I think if they're like how we saw JP Morgan taking on Gemini and Coinbase's banking customers, because they basically want the deposit. So they starting to see people pulling out their money and putting it in the stable coin. But if you pull it out the bank and then you put it in a stable coin, but then at the same time, now they're taking on companies like Coinbase and Gemini and maybe possibly crypto.com and Celsius, they're still getting the deposits in their bank at the end of the day. So that's all they care about is the deposit, so that they can redistribute and still do the fractional reserve. So that's the only reason why JP Morgan took on Gemini and Coinbase, so they can get the deposits in their bank. It's not that they are pro crypto, so to speak. They want them as banking customers because they're doing numbers now.
Yeah, I think it's gonna come down to what Steve Mnuchin and Donald Trump decide to do with whatever else they roll out in the next future. So my guess would be by next year, we'll have a better idea as to what this next payment processing system will be like for us domestically here. And then along with that, they're gonna have to not make some announcements on what they're gonna allow citizens to get involved with outside of what they want to issue us into. So that's where I will begin questions. So between now and then, get all you can while you can, because I would imagine down the line.
You think it's going to happen that quick?
If they end up rolling out that new payment method, because like right now the whole goal is to get all the citizens to the unbanked, especially in the banking sector, in the bank, so that they can issue direct payments to us and whatever stimulus or whatever they want to do. So once they have everybody that they need to be in the system, it'll be easy to roll out whatever the next payment processing mechanism will be, because they want to get it directly to us, because they want to be able to track it, trace it, and everything else. So with that process, I would imagine if it's going to be a centrally controlled Treasury or Federal Reserve issued whatever, they want sole right to issue whatever it's going to be considered or labeled as stable. So all those other competitive type of things that the banking sector is doing, I don't know if they're going to play ball together or not. Because why would you use the government central bank issue one where you can just use your crypto.com one or your Tether or whatever else you want to use out there people would eventually just go wherever the interest is at.
And also, Mike, you know, when we're talking about stable coins, ice cold crypto, you know, it's literally in your own wallet. They can't seize it. They can't take it away. They may be able to. I don't know if they can. Some stable coins they do have the ability through their smart contract, I think, to stop it from moving somewhere. I believe
they can track it.
Yeah,
that's
they
for
can
sure.
track it for sure.
But I think so. But I think it's going to be like you say, it's going to be a level of decentralized and centralized. I think they're going to, if they can control the on and off ramps of where you can spend and utilize it, they may allow us to have sort of a decentralized community on the inside. But as far as coming on and off, like they control the coin bases and the Gemini, so they can see and they can tax it. But then you still may have utility tokens that we transact amongst one another.
Yeah, but you got to remember that they still need reserves, and they want to see the Federal Reserve system still works on reserves. So you still have to have a certain amount of reserves at the Federal Reserve window for them to get lending from them. These banks, I mean. So the deposits are important. You got to remember that deposits are still important. So if you start to see more money sucked out of the system into these various tokens on the crypto blockchains, they're not going to like that, man.
Or taken out of the system entirely and placed on your wallet or in your cold storage wallet without them being able to control it would be the biggest issue.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. If they're kind of controlling the on and off ramp, so before you can get off into your crypto.com wallet, they already then got their piece.
Yeah,
you know, if they kind of control the on.
See what happens.
Yeah.
Well, what about, watch this? How important do you think will privacy coins become as the governments and all the banking institutions decide to lock down and clamp down, and people find out
they'll make them illegal.
All their transactions are being watched.
They'll make them illegal.
Does that mean that people will not still use them, or the value of the things will go up dramatically to where technology will improve so people can use them?
I still think,
but if
the majority of people,
if they make them illegal, it's going to scare people. Yeah, it's going to scare people from using them once they make them illegal. So it'll be a market for them, but
it'll be a dark web for them, but it'd be taboo. And you know, you get caught with any, you know, it's going to be an issue. I think.
Yeah, some people don't even realize that that gold was illegal from 1933 to like 1974. You couldn't. If you got caught with some gold in your pocket, you could have got 10 years in jail and double the fine on the amount of gold that you got caught with. So you don't know what the government could come up with.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. True. So it's a lot.
Yeah. Well, man, thanks for the call in, Ice Cold Crypto. We'll definitely check you out.
Hey, man, appreciate it, man. Appreciate y'all, man. Keep up the great work, man, and y'all stay safe out there.
Will do. You as well, my man.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Yep. So, Mike, we've got a question in the chat room. Troxel says, do you think the July 15th income tax deadline will be pushed back further if they do not open the country? If so, chances of canceling it altogether? What are your thoughts?
Oh man, so great question. I want to say I already saw something where either Trump was considering it or they already pushed it back till September, I think.
Okay.
So I'm not 100%, but I saw that the date that time frame was moved or is talked about being moved. So I wouldn't doubt they push it back further because once again, if a lot of people aren't working right now and we're not able to fully reopen the entire country up, then I would imagine there's no real point in having a set of July 5th, whatever date was. So I can imagine them pushing it back.
Yeah, and do you think they're going to cancel it altogether though? This year? I don't think so. At this point, based upon all the emergency measures, how are you going to continue to dangle carrots in front of people in the form of an allowance, but then also tax it? Like it's going to come to a point where I think I wouldn't be surprised if Trump low key calls himself doing something down the line, and I wouldn't be mad if he canceled the whole concept of income tax in general because it's not necessary.
He's one of the individuals that has put up the biggest fight on not wanting to reveal his personal income statement. So I would imagine he wouldn't be too opposed to the idea of getting rid of the IRS taxation system in general.
But I think constitutionally he can only eliminate federal level. States still have the obligation, or to collect if they want, I believe.
Which it's at this point, it'll be fine. It'll be about finding ways to utilize the loopholes in the system anyway, the way that businesses do and the way that entrepreneurs have opportunity to do anyway. So, it's only the person that depends solely upon earned income in the form of their employment that takes the biggest hit anyway. So, yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get rid of it. I wouldn't be mad if they did.
Yeah, no. So Buddha says, or Buddy, I should say, says he questions about illegal things being illegal and people still using it. Yeah, people will still use it, and I think the prices of those privacy coins will probably go through the roof if they ever do that. I'm just saying that it will marginalize the possibility of people using it. I think it's going to be relegated to a very small group of individuals who are more tech savvy and into this stuff to use the privacy coins. We'll see though. Yeah. It will have to be a situation where it's closed circuit, like only accepting Monero at various locations, but they can even attack that. So any company that's accepting privacy coins can be clamped down on. That's still a point of failure for privacy coins, right? Yeah. If you have to still wherever that coin is going, if it's a business, peer-to-peer, yeah, that's fine. Peer-to-peer is already not a problem. Mm-hmm. But when you're talking about using things to buy and sell at various brick and mortar or even online businesses, that's going to be a problem. I don't think.
Yeah, I've actually had one of the individuals that I think he probably followed both of us. I had him on my show a long time ago, and he's in the payment processing side of things, and he was telling me how, Mike, all the companies, I forgot which wherever the little payment processing mechanism, swipe the cards and all those things. He was saying that they're incorporating crypto into it,
or whatever, and all those different ones.
Yeah, so they're enabled and encouraged to incorporate the crypto side of things. It just has to be certain cryptos. Like they can't have anything labeled privacy. Is a no-no. Yeah. So when I heard that, I'm like, well, don't that kind of tell you how they're more than excited and open for you to participate, but you got to do it at their turns. So
you can track everything else.
Exactly.
Because they clamp down the on-ramps, especially here in America. All on-ramps are pretty much KYC. You got to KYC your way in to this game nowadays. So that's at that point, when you come in, they can track you. They can reverse chain analysis, all that stuff. So
right, and that's one of the biggest things that had me concerned, of where it's going to be our future, but it doesn't excite me to go down our route 100%.
No, I hear you. Let's get this last caller here on the line. Caller, who's speaking tonight?
How you doing, Blood?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, this is Monty. How you guys doing?
Good. I know that voice. How you doing, Monty?
Pretty good, thanks. You guys are covering a lot of good topics, a lot of points. I'm glad. One of the things that I want to get you guys advice on is that PPP document, that loan contract. It seems to be based upon a older type of document that I blogged about 2 years ago. It's called a confession of judgment.
Not familiar with
that.
And when you, not familiar with that one.
Okay, you may want to look it up. It originated out of New York, and the main problem the main problem with it is when you sign it, you turn over all your legal rights, and typically that means that if you ever default, or you don't even really have to default. What happened with the confession of judgment, like a decade, probably 10 years ago, is borrowers, they would look at their accounts and they would see that their accounts had been completely drained, because the onus wasn't so much on the borrower to prove anything, to do anything. I mean, the onus was on the borrower to go after the loan company, the company who was loaning the money. it's like when you do a chargeback, the onus is on the merchant versus the customer. Well, the way the way this particular confession of judgment works is the same thing. If you borrow money, what has happened in the past, at least, a number of companies have been put out of business because monies would be taken out of their account, and the onus would be on the borrower to actually, do investigations and get the money back. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
I'll have to
I
look
wasn't
into
feeling
that.
that at all. But that's one of the things where if the government is willing to provide liquidity, so favorably without the idea of paying it back, then it does put them in a position where they could come back at a later date and say, sorry, we're going to change these rules, and we now own your business or whatever. So I wouldn't put that past the government at all, because they're buying stakes in airlines and everything else. So why not take ownership of all the small businesses supposedly?
Well, yeah, that's a good point, because actually, when you borrow that money, how fluid these conversations have been in terms of, what the loans that these big companies have been getting and when they're not supposed to, because, it wasn't really stipulated good enough in terms of what types of business, how large, how small, how many employees or whatever conditions. So, that's where we had the abuse from the LA Lakers and the Chris Steakhouse and the Roots restaurant. All these companies were getting monies. And then when the shit hit the fan, the Lakers gave their money back. I think Chris Steakhouse or whoever, they gave their money back.
I didn't know the Lakers got money.
Yeah, it was something small too. It was like $10 million or something like that.
Oh my, that's the max you can get, I think, from the EID.
They're like, wait a minute, we don't need this money. And certain companies, who was it? Harvard, I think, got money.
Harvard got it.
I think,
yep.
You remember that, Blood? Yeah, you mentioned that on your show. Harvard got money. They're like, we didn't even know we applied for the money.
Okay.
Sure. Of course you did.
Right.
But anyway,
you didn't miss the money. You probably didn't even know it hit your bank account because you got billions in. Silly, man.
Well, I guess you're doing pretty good when you get $10 million in your account and you don't even need it, ask for it, or didn't even notice that it got in there.
Yeah.
Also, and another thing that is kind of interesting too is you guys were talking about people going back to work and weighing that against getting payment for staying off of work, and when you do better for not going to work in terms of money that you get, that creates a little conflict, right? Because I don't have to get up in the morning. I don't have to put gas in the car. I'll just sit here and collect this money. Well, I think we also should consider that this may be an opportunity for those people staying at home, so they can contemplate what ultimately are the priorities. Because we in the crypto space, we've been talking about this. These issues with the Fed and the economic the issues that have been going on for a long time, and I think they're finally hitting home to a lot of these people in the traditional economy. They didn't have any way of connecting the dots, but I think we finally are able to convince them how these dots are connected, and this is why you're being impacted the way you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's possible, man.
So I think this is our opportunity to say, this is what I was talking about for the last 5 or 10 years. Talking about the Fed, talking about the hypothecation, talking about fractional reserve, talking about all of these things, right? Mm-hmm. So, I think finally they're able to say, okay, Blood, I remember now what you were saying, and it started to make a whole lot of sense because I'm hurting. Yeah. So I think this is an opportunity for our friends and relatives and associates or whatever to say, look, I think I understand what you guys were talking about, because, when you go outside of the United States, Venezuela, Zimbabwe, whatever, you don't have to convince those people of what happens when you ruin an economy.
They got real world experience.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Buddy Dude, bro, says he's excited about the possibility of the tax deadline being pushed out. Could it be the beginning of the road to end taxes completely? Well, I wouldn't even be excited about ending taxes completely, because you got to understand, just because taxes are removed from the system, even if that happens, I don't think there's a possibility of that. But even if it does happen, that doesn't mean everything is fine. I think that's just part of really modern monetary theory. Like, they don't need taxes in that practice of modern monetary theory. Yeah. You know, they'll
I don't see any place
money
for taxes. Right. Mm-hmm. Why should we be on the hook for paying taxes when Powell already admitted 3 weeks ago that there's an unlimited amount of financial resources that he can use for this problem?
Yeah, that's modern monetary theory. That's what they do. Okay. So they'll print. Right. They'll print until. So with the whole MMT, you print until you hit an inflation target, then you pull everything back. That's the whole thing. So they'll just continue to print until we hit that point, and then pull everything back. But it's I don't think it's ever been done. It's
I think theory. Taxation is a part of the equation, though. Like, I think, you know, they can create as much as they want with the idea that they're going to have to also take it out through taxation. So I think that taxation is a part of the equation.
Oh, okay. Maybe it is. Maybe it is.
No, I think we should question that. We should say, look, you said you have unlimited money to utilize for whatever problem. Just something happens to be Corona. So we should say, okay, now use your unlimited money printing powers to go ahead and pay tax bills. If the state or the individuals or whoever needs to pay taxes and you don't have enough revenues coming in, print it out. Go ahead and print it out, because you guys have been doing an excellent job in terms of convincing us that there are no repercussions of excessive money printing. Hold their feet to the fire.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna happen, brother. I'm sorry.
This is the last
I'm done with the whole. I'm done thinking we're gonna have some revolution and we're gonna wake up one day. I'm done with it, bro, because I just see so much stupidity out here. I don't see that remotely even happening. That's why I'm pissed, man. I don't even see it happening. You give a person a silver 1 troy ounce of gold. Just randomly go out there and give them 1 troy ounce and let them tell you assess the value of that 1 troy ounce. You're gonna be very disappointed, Mike.
The clip, right? Because when Mark Dyson give you a Hershey's bar, and you'll take a Hershey's bar over a piece of gold or silver, you don't know the value of it.
Yeah, anyway. That video.
Oh yeah,
my man,
right.
Mark
That's
Dyson.
true.
Yep, that's it.
I saw that. Now the last thing is jobs. Going back to work is not going to be what it used to be, because now that they've got a taste of, you know, how much it's actually costing, or how much money they're saving by having these people stay home, they're going to be saying, you know what, there might not even be a job to go back to. And then the environment for working is going to change, because I've been doing surveillance and security for 20 years. And I can tell you there's surveillance that's going to be going on in the workplace. Mm-hmm. You haven't seen anything. You thought it was stressful, but now with the cameras and the different type of technologies, trying to see if you're socially distancing and you know, all of that with the cameras and such, that's going to be a major problem.
Yeah, it's a surveillance state. Here it is.
But anyway, you guys take care.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate you.
We'll talk later. All right. Good. Thank you. Take care. All
right. We got 10 Pound coming in late. Coming in hot and late.
Yeah,
what's going on, man?
I'm just chilling, man. Just, you know, pretty much thinking about what's going to happen with you know, these latest developments in the cryptocurrency space, man. I'm actually a little concerned. I'll be real with you.
Talk to me, man.
Concerned about what?
I'm concerned about what happened with Telegram, what that sort of sends to the rest of the ecosystem.
Watershed moment. Yep.
Yeah, dude.
Not in a good way, though. Mm-hmm. Watershed moment in a bad way. Absolutely.
Yeah, dude. I'm actually really concerned. Now I know why EOS had to pay such a heavy fine, man. It's crazy.
Well, yay and nay. EOS is not a threat, I don't think, to them. That move by Telegram would have been a threat. I think more of a threat.
Really?
Yeah.
You believe so? Like.
Yeah, it's almost like that move would have been almost like a Facebook Libra move.
But in what sense? I mean, it's just a telemessaging application.
But isn't encrypted from end to end? And
Yes.
is it supposed to be unique in nature where they don't have the backdoor access to it? Supposedly, that could be a problem.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
you're right.
then to like provide a currency called a gram to allow people to transact amongst themselves, and we can't see behind the scenes. No, you can't do that, buddy.
Yeah, you can't be out here selling grams, man. We selling pounds over here, dog.
Oh shit, yeah, I get what you mean.
10 pounds.
Yeah, you right. That's the way it is. Damn, man, the Fed is so fucking crazy.
No,
bruh.
but
SEC is a fucking like mafia.
They're horrible, man. And the thing is, I think we've been so Pollyanna with it as far as being overly optimistic about how crypto was going to take over and allow us to be free. And that game is that narrative is done, in my opinion.
It seems like, bro, unless you like not raising funds, ICO, you're doing everything like mining.
Bro, right.
Like,
but look, they did it right. They did a SAFT. They had a SAFT. They did it everything to the book. They didn't allow U.S. citizens to participate, all this stuff, and they still shut them down because we still, at the end of the day, we still operate under or inside of the cartel's system.
Yeah.
Yep.
And crypto, our community sold our souls back in 2016-17. The crypto community did. We sold our souls to Wall Street, to the bankers.
Ah, damn. That's a funny way to put it, man. That's a really funny way. In what sense? I mean, all
the regulation allowed and all the rooting for ETFs and bending over backwards to be compliant and doing all we did all
adoption.
That
I think the push for adoption. That was one of the things that really brought light to it, to where it could have remained as a alternative backdoor exit out of the system. But with the fact that everybody wanted to adopt it, use it on a day-to-day basis, let's take over the banking system, let's interact solely on this type of coin or that coin. It put them in a position where either it was competition all along that they didn't want to have to deal with, or it was a part of their game plan to usher in the whole concept of digital, decentralized, centralized, all the lingo that they're now using. Yeah, I'm not sure if they're using it against us, but they're using it in their favor now. Then their regulation is going to come in, SEC and CDFTC, everybody and their mom going to be coming after the concept of trying to unplug from the system. Now you can't do that. They want you in the system still.
Yeah. I agree, man. I don't think we would have had to go at it a different approach, and the approach I thought we should have been going in. And I've been preaching this since 2017 when I saw all this okie dokie stuff going on, where the money and greed came in. See, people were trying to capitalize, as Mike was saying, off of adoption of the normal, regular people, that they came in and compromised and wanted to do, all these things to align with what the old system was about, and didn't fight against that, didn't fight against KYC, didn't fight against any of that stuff to protect our anonymity a little bit. And now it's all over. It's all over.
I mean, it's because what Trump did, if you think about it.
Man, don't you ever be over there blaming Trump?
Yeah, I'm gonna blame Trump's.
What Trump? Man, come on.
I'm gonna blame Trump's cabinet, bro, for this one. Because, seriously, when Steve Mnuchin gave that press review, about,
you're kind of right. Trump came out with the tweet, and then Mnuchin said, "Look, we're gonna slam down on this stuff.
Investigate it."
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I have to say was his administration that moved forward on cracking down on our ecosystem, man, and sort of like ruining the gravy train for a lot of people internationally. So, I mean,
yeah, you're right, bro. You're definitely right on that point. They did, but you can't tell all the diehard Trump fans. They just ignore that.
Yeah, I know, right?
Just ignore that part. He's supposed to be. He's helping us break free, though.
Yeah, he's draining the swamp.
And you know what? I think he is. He is. But draining the swamp doesn't mean everything. It's more of what his interests are.
So what is the swamp? Like, have we ever officially defined the swamp?
No, we haven't. But I mean,
and the DC bubble, we refer to it as the lobbyist class. The people that literally live off the essence of the deep state. They literally are lawyers, contractors, people that work in between the scenes.
Yep.
to pull the strings of the politicians to create legislation. That's what we refer to as the swamp. I live in Washington, D.C., so it's just common.
Yeah, he's draining
the
swamp, Mike, and from the aspect of, the FISA court stuff and the Russia gate or whatever, Ukraine. That's all good. But as far as, having crypto come in and get rid of the Fed, no, he's not trying to get rid of the Fed. He's trying to just control the Fed.
Let me ask you a question. How far do you think this Obamagate stuff is going to go? Because he's tweeting now, Obamagate. So he wants to stir the pot a little bit and go back and disrupt some things. So how far do you think it's going to gain momentum or swept under the rug like, Mr. Epstein?
I don't know, man. If it starts gaining momentum, they will find a way to get him out the office, bro. Because that's some damning evidence there. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
If you
they're gonna get him out the office, man.
If you open up that can of worms, what it looks like he wants to do, then that's when if it proceeds, then that's when we're gonna really find out if this guy was really out to drain the swamp by digging up old information and exposing a lot of things or not. And of course, Joe Biden's in on it. So between now and the time people go to the voting booths, if we go to the voting booths in November, Joe's closet gonna be opened up too.
Which could align with, people saying that this was planned to be released at a certain time to kind of coordinate and mess up the voting process, and get Trump out. I can understand how people say that.
Yeah. So we will see.
I don't know, man. Literally, if they're going to hand people the freaking most corrupt secondary to President Obama's cabinet versus Trump, I'm pretty sure they're going to go with Trump. I'm just saying.
Anyway it goes, it's not gonna be in our favor, so I'm not looking forward to seeing how this plays out.
Right. That's the thing, people. Like, stop thinking that in the grand scheme of things, Trump is going to be helping you, the average person. He still has his initiatives and his constituents and his buddies and cronies that he deals with. No, they're not, your traditional political class, right, left or right. Mm-hmm. But, he still has his circle of people he wants to help out and look out for.
Yeah.
I.e. the multinational corporations.
And on top of that, I mean, he has a entity that the Trump empire or whatever, the Trump whatever is global. So he wants, he's going to leave better than he came in regardless. Now, how much better will he be off? How much better off will he be when he leaves, whether this year or after another 4 years? So that's going to be the final question. Because every president have left the presidency better than they came in. He came in good. So what can good look like after when he leaves?
Donald Muhammad said they still ain't got Hillary yet, but if anyone goes down, I'm betting it will be a black man. Oh man, we're gonna end it on that, people. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. And Mike, man, let the people know again where they can check you out.
I appreciate it, man. So yeah, I'm over at YouTube at Rethinking a Dollar. And then also Twitter at rethinking -a $G. And then anything else, rethinkingthedollar.com is also where you can find me as well. So just type in Rethinking a Dollar. I'm out there somewhere.
Man, well, Mike, I appreciate it as always. You coming on as a co-host. Always have a great time with you. Make sure you guys, again, like, share, and subscribe. Oh, and don't forget, if you guys are missing out, man, we got a live Telegram room for the members, so make sure you click that join button and join at least at the acquaintance level, and you can join me in that room. We got perks. We released the Kicking It sessions early for you, other videos and extra stuff for you guys, so make sure you jump over to Crypto Blood on YouTube and hit that join button. We out of here, people. Holla.
Yeah, boy.
These pussies love the gossip, top bloggers. Boy, I be on the block with them top shotters. Now shorties wanna holler cause I got my guap up. She want that kielbasa, leave my dick mobbed up. My hoolie click mobbed up, these other niggas washed up. I'll slide on the op like I'm about to do the cha-cha. Knock, knock at your front door with the cha-cha.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Okay.
Fucking thing sucks! We'll do it live.